Hello. Hello, I'm Condescending Crow. Who else here tonight? Joey Hockey Puck, Kyle, Backwin Forever. How you doing, guys? Crazy Joe can't be here tonight, so I'm filling in. Welcome. I'm Condescending Crow. They call me that because I'm a crow, and I'm condescending. Hi. Joe Martinez is here. Hello. How you doing? Who else is here? Martinez Joe says, hi, Joe. I'm not Joe. I'm Condescending Crow. But maybe you couldn't pick up on that. Bohemian Movies, Jamel, Marie. Joe's not here. It's me, Condescending Crow. What's wrong with you people? Hi, Joe. Do I look like Joe? I got more hair than him. What the heck? Hello, Kyle. How you doing? How's everyone doing tonight? Marie says I need a bunny. I don't have a bunny. What's everyone doing? Just watching this crap? Got nothing better to do? You gotta sit here and watch this garbage? Jamel says, how am I doing? I'm doing just great. Marie wants Bambi. Nah, Bambi's not here. Just me. Backquin's watching Mallrats. That's a good movie. Bohemian's watching this while putting groceries away. You're wasting your time. This is garbage. Why are you watching this? This is terrible. Anyone else here? Who else is here? Nobody? All right. Well, it's good seeing y'all. So I'm a crow. I took over the show. Joe's not here. James Borland. Hello, Crazy Joe. I recommend subscribing to the Bored Cyborg. He's great. Well, that's great, but I'm not Crazy Joe. I'm Condescending Crow. Why do people keep calling me Crazy Joe? Do I look like him? I'm not even wearing glasses. I don't have the same haircut. What the heck? That's all right, James. That's okay. Who else is here? Jamel says it's good to see you. It's good to see you, Jamel. It's good to get a greeting. Because everyone's asking for Joe. Who else is here? Super Chat Hippo is here. Marie says, have I seen Crazy Joe? I think he's upstairs or something. James says, say, Joe, do you know the Mystery Science Theater 3000 Crow? I've seen him. There's a Funko Pop of him on that shelf over there. I've never met him. Bobby Bolin. Hi. Hi, Bobby. Hey, everyone. What's going on? Is this Crow harassing? Are you harassing them? Get out of here. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what happened. You know, you're a little bit late. Next thing you know, a crow's taking over your show. What the heck? He's rude, too. It's a rude crow. Sorry for the delay. I got held up. What did I miss? Whew. Hey, everybody. Jesse wants to know where Russell Crowe is. Marie says that was fun. I'll tell you, this is why I have reverence for puppeteers. I am not cut out for it. That brief little bit, my wrist is killing me from being up like this. That short period of time. This is why I have such respect for puppeteers. When we had Leslie Carrera Rudolph, who many of you know as Abby Cadabby, we had her on the phone for a phone interview that was on the MegaPodTastic Podcast about 2 months ago. And my daughter talked to her, and one of the first questions my daughter asked is it hard to hold your hand up that long? Well, yeah. Yeah, it is. It really is. Jamel says, I like your crow. Thank you, Jamel. James says, say Crazy Joe,
Do you feel that the cinematic universe phase is over? No, absolutely not. I do, since Marvel peaked with Endgame and DC went nowhere. Well, DC's still going. DC's still going, and Marvel's still going. And there's a couple others now, like Scooby-Doo, the Scoob movie, was the first chapter in what they hope to be a cinematic universe. Hopefully, I hope it continues, because I think there's potential there. But yeah, and DC, man, oh my God, DC is going strong. All the news that's been coming out recently about what's going on in the DC cinematic universe, it's insane, man. We had some news this week. Michael Keaton is coming back. It's still in talks. It's not official yet, but apparently Michael Keaton's in talks to come back as Batman. And Slash Film reported it's for multiple films. So that tells me that they're probably doing Batman Beyond. That's what I take from doing multiple films, because we all know the Batman in the DC cinematic universe is going to be Robert Pattinson. So that begs the question, what role would Michael Keaton play? Well, Flashpoint's a story that deals in multiverses, alternate timelines. So if you're bringing in a 70-year-old guy as Batman, and you're planning to have him do multiple films just without any other knowledge, that just tells me you're going Batman Beyond. Obviously, that's not confirmed, but it really sounds like that's where they're headed. And then the Marvel Universe, man, they're still going strong. We got Black Widow coming, and all the shows on Disney+, WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier. So yeah, no, I think cinematic universes, I think we barely scratched the surface. Marvel has so far been the most successful. DC's been the second most successful, but I think they're going to just keep going. And then you got the Conjuring universe too. That's on a much smaller scale, and Godzilla vs. Kong is coming. So James says, did you guys know The Mask had an animated series back in the 90s? I did know that. Connor says, okay, I know it will be asked. Thoughts on Michael Keaton? We just had him, actually. I'm excited. I'm very excited. Kyle says, Crazy Joe, I heard All-Star twice. All-Star by Smash Mouth? And do you mean twice tonight or twice in your life? Backwind says, I was down low. Like, I got down low to do that bit with the crow. And the microphone's all the way up here, so I was yelling. I don't have a microphone, so I was kind of yelling. And I'm out of breath now. I'm out of breath. I don't have it what it takes to be a puppeteer. I just don't. I don't have what it takes. Backwind says, I bought some stuff on Amazon. Mallrats, Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses, Devil's Rejects, 3 from Hell, Halloween 2, Grindhouse, the other Halloween 2, and The Hulk. I love some of those movies, but there are some of those movies I'm not so crazy about. Like, I don't really care for Rob Zombie's... Most of Rob Zombie's movies I don't care for. But I did like The Devil's Rejects. I think that's like the only movie of his I liked is The Devil's Rejects. Backwind says, I heard about the unfortunate passing of Joel Schumacher on Cinema Sickness's live stream yesterday. Even though Batman and Robin is garbage, I do appreciate that he apologized for how bad it was. Yeah, he apologized, and I like other movies the guy made. I mean, Batman and Robin is probably my least favorite movie of all time. It's probably the movie I hate most in the world. But I really like Falling Down. Falling Down is a great movie. And The Lost Boys is a bit of a classic. I know some people really love The Lost Boys. Personally, I always liked Fright Night better than The Lost Boys. You know, when I think of that 80s vampire / comedy genre where it's kind of funny but also has got vampires, I think Fright Night's like above Lost Boys to me. But I think to the general public, Lost Boys is the more popular of the two. Which do you guys prefer? Fright Nights or the Lost Boys? If you have to say Fright Night or the Lost Boys, what do you go with? Explorer Ryan is here. I'm wearing his shirt today. It's good to see you. And Ryan, I need to see, look at this. Ryan, I got to know how to give you the wrench. I want to give you the wrench, the little blue wrench, and I don't know how to do it because when I click on your name, it gives me the option. Oh, wait a minute. I'm not logged in as me there. I'm logged in under a generic account. So let me see. Maybe from here I can do it. Did I give you the wrench, my man? Do you have the wrench? Let me know if that worked, because I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I didn't know about the wrench until I was on one of Greg's Game Room live streams. I gotta come at the screen from this end, or else I block the screen. Greg's Game Room, people had the wrench, and I'm like, what is the wrench? And then I realized you can make someone a moderator. But I've never done it. Ryan says Kirk looks so ominous. Well, he's up to no good, man. He's up to no good. You missed it, Ryan. If you just got here, the show had been taken over by Mr. Condescending Crow. Hi, Ryan. How you doing? I'm not a ventriloquist, so you're not going to get ventriloquism. But you know what? A regular Muppet performer wouldn't try to hide that they were making the voice either. So when I talk for the Crow, that's authentic. That's what a real puppeteer would do. Let's see. Where were we? James says, have you seen The Shawshank Redemption? Oh, absolutely. I love The Shawshank Redemption. But you know what? I got a little sick of The Shawshank Redemption because we had a local cable channel here in the Philly region called Prism. It was sort of like HBO, but a local HBO. And their gimmick was they had movies and sports. They would show the Philadelphia Flyers, things like that. So sports fans in the Philly region would all get Prism because that allowed them to see the home games, whereas, the home games weren't televised otherwise. So Prism, we had Prism instead of HBO because my dad was like, when I was a kid, my dad was like, well, I'm not subscribing to 2. I'm only subscribing to 1. And I'm going to subscribe to Prism because that'll get me movies and sports. So we didn't have HBO, but we had Prism. And towards the end of its run, Prism ended in the late 90s. They went under and vanished, went off the air. But in their last years, it felt like they were getting less and less movies. And every time you turned on Prism, they were showing The Shawshank Redemption. And it was such a good movie, I would say. And American History X, that was another one in their last years. They always had American History X on. But I would always stop on Shawshank Redemption or American History X because they were good. And I eventually just got sick of them because I saw them too many times. But no, it's a phenomenal movie. James says, hey, Crazy Joe, there's a Rob Zombie film you might like. It's called The Haunted World of El Super Beasto. I've heard of that. Aubrey's here. Good evening, Aubrey. Good to see you. Jesse says he picks The Lost Boys, but he likes Fright Night as well. Brandon Sullivan also picks The Lost Boys. Boredom Strikes says Fright Night buries The Lost Boys. I'm with Boredom Strikes on this one. James Borland said Ace Ventura had a cartoon in the 90s as well. So did Dumb and Dumber. Jim Carrey was all over cartoons in the 90s. James says, Joe, what's your favorite ska band? I really like the Toasters and the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones. One of my all-time favorite bands is the Aquabats. Now, I know the Aquabats weren't always a ska band. They were a ska band early on. Then they kind of changed into more pop punk later on. And I understand why. Apparently they just didn't, the way things were going, they didn't have the money to keep paying all the horn. And if there's a great documentary called Pick It Up, and they talk about that, how a lot of ska bands couldn't afford to keep paying the horn section because they had so many guys in the band, and the gigs were paying so little, and then the money was getting split between 15 different guys. So yeah, the Aquabats is one of my all-time favorite bands. If we want to call them a ska band because they used to be a ska band, then they're my favorite ska band. If we're going to say they don't count because they changed their sound, then I'm going to go with Real Big Fish. Bohemian says, I'm thinking about doing a live stream doing Bean Boozled on Instagram tomorrow. Is Ryan still here? Ryan hasn't said anything else, and I want to see if there's a wrench next to his name now. Bohemian says, I'm thinking, oh, I read that already. James says, is it a pay TV HBO type channel? Because it seems similar to TV and TeleFirst. I think you're asking about Prism. It was at that time, but it doesn't exist anymore. Brandon says, I knew of, but never had Prism, unless it was a free preview weekend. Because Brandon's not too far from me. He's in Jersey. So yeah, Prism was big in the 80s. It was sort of like you had HBO or you had Prism. And in this area, a lot of people picked Prism because of the sports. Some people had both. My dad wasn't going to pay for both. Backwin says, I heard Godzilla vs. Kong got delayed to 2021 and Sponge on the Run's theatrical release got canceled. Is that true, Backwin? I hadn't heard Sponge on the Run got canceled. Delayed, but I didn't know it was canceled. That doesn't mean it's not canceled. I just hadn't heard that. Connor says, what's my favorite episode of Alf? Tough question. I think maybe the Christmas special, because it's so weird. I mean, the Christmas special, Alf's Special Christmas, is a very bizarre special. It's really weird, and it's really depressing, and it goes to some dark places. So is it my favorite in terms of entertainment value? No, not really, but it's my favorite in terms of, man, that's weird. Punk Nerd says, how am I? I'm good, Punk Nerd. How are you? Jesse says, wasn't there a mask cartoon as well? There was. There was a mask cartoon. And there was another mask cartoon that had nothing to do with Jim Carrey. It was Masked Crusaders working overtime, fighting crime, secret raiders. Stop singing! You stink! No one wants to hear that! Oh, shut up, Crow. Ah, he's rude. Joey says, hey, Big Sexy. Lisa says, hey, Crazy Joe, how goes it? Doing good, Lisa. How are you? James says, hey, Crazy Joe, I recommend a YouTube channel named The Oddity Archive. He's great and looks back at old stuff, sometimes riffs on it. I just found out that a local Philadelphia news personality who was on our local news from 1982 to 2009, and he did weird and quirky stories. The guy's name was Don Pollock. I just found out that I wonder whatever happened to him, because he used to be on the local news. So most of you who weren't in the Philadelphia area would have no idea who he was. But he always did very quirky stories on the news. And I always wondered what happened to him. Well, I just found out, number one, that he did a show that is on Tubi TV. So any one of you could access this show. It's called Exploring Quirky. And it's just the kind of news stories he did on the news, but apparently it went out to a much wider audience. And now it's on Tubi TV. But he has a YouTube channel. And I thought it's really odd because this guy was quite popular on local TV for, about 30 years or so. And he has next to no subscribers to his YouTube channel. He's got 130 subscribers. And I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, my God, I've got less than 2,000. And I always say, why can't I hit 2,000? Why can't I hit 2,000? But then I look at that number and I go, I got more subscribers to this than this guy who was popular on our local news for about 30 years. So I'm telling you guys, if you want to see an entertaining guy who does weird, quirky little stories, human interest stories with a humorous bent, look up Don Pollock's World TV, no spaces. Don Pollock's World TV, no spaces. He's really quite entertaining. He was good on the news, and now he's on YouTube. And he needs more than 130 subscribers. He really does. Connor says, have I seen Waxwork with Zach Galligan and Mahaley Mazzaros? I have seen Waxwork. I've seen both Waxworks. I like them. I own them on Blu-ray. Good movies. Bohemian says, famous line from Stephanie Tanner for The Crow. How rude. Was that Stephanie or Michelle? I thought that was Michelle. I don't know. I'm not really a fan of Full House, I have to confess. That's Cinema Sicknesses. That's his favorite show. Favorite sitcom, at least. Bohemian says, I already read that one. They're talking about, the waxwork. Backquin's talking about waxwork with Connor. Jamel says, I'm a good puppeteer. Jamel, I am really not a good puppeteer. I thank you for saying so. But I am not at all a good puppeteer. I wish I was. I would love to be a puppeteer. If I'd been puppeteering for like 40 years, then I'd be able to hold my arm up. I'd have plenty of... He stinks! He's a terrible puppeteer. Go watch Dave Goals. He's a good puppeteer. Go watch Grandpa Choco. He's a good puppeteer. This guy's garbage. Punk Nerd's got a new video up. Go check that out. Joey Baseball says, have I ever lost anything before? I lost my wallet with $40 of cash in it. Luckily, all my cards were in another wallet. That stinks. I'm sorry to hear that, sir. Have you said a prayer to St. Anthony? Sometimes it helps. Michelle's was, you got it, dude. Jesse S., have you ever seen Fright Night 2? I have. I own a bootleg DVD of it because it's not officially out right now. I own a bootleg DVD of it, and thanks to our own Mr. Martinez Joe, and thanks to... It's funny, this is a 6 degrees of separation kind of thing. Thanks to Aaron. You know Aaron from Cinema Sickness's channel? Thanks to Aaron, I found a website that was selling a Blu-ray of the movie. But she found out about that website from Martinez Joe. So I have Aaron to thank, and she has Martinez Joe to thank, which means I also have Martinez Joe to thank, but we're just kind of doing a whisper down the lane now. So yeah, I actually just got it on Blu-ray. It's a bootleg, but that's the only way you're going to get Fright Night 2 on Blu-ray. James says, I'm not a fan of Full House either. Even as a kid, I thought the show was incredibly dated. Growing up, my brother was a huge Full House fan and a huge Saved by the Bell fan. And I didn't like either. And he used to have them on all the time. So I was always subjected to these two shows that I didn't want to watch. So I think I've seen every episode of Saved by the Bell. And I was always bothered by continuity errors in Saved by the Bell. Like, as much as I hated the show, I kind of wanted to write a sequel movie, a reunion movie, like Saved by the Bell Class Reunion or something, that offers explanations to the continuity errors. I always wanted to fix the continuity errors on that show. Like, for one thing, Zach Morris had two fathers. He had two different fathers. And I'm not talking they changed the actor. They changed the character's name. Like, in one episode, his father was named like Peter Morris, and in another, his father was named like James Morris or something. And they were played by two different actors. So two different actors, two different names. So my brother was like, well, maybe his mom got divorced and remarried. And I said, yeah, but then she would have had to have remarried a guy also named Morris. So we started coming up with this like weird convoluted backstory about how the mother left the father for his own brother, like all this crazy stuff. And then you had Tori, who showed up towards the end of the run, but she was never in an episode with Jesse or Lisa. Lisa and Jesse never appeared on screen with Tori. And then when the graduation episode aired, Tori didn't graduate. She wasn't in the graduation episode. So I'm always like, I want these inconsistencies explained, even though I hate the show. It's just nuts. Lisa says, I'd be happy to be Muppet Wrangler at least. Lisa, come on in. We can do the puppets together. Connor says, did I like the Community puppet episode? Connor, I love Community. And I love puppets, and I want to love the Community puppet episode. But the sad fact is, the puppet episode was done during the gas leak year, the 4th season, when the writers changed. Dan Harmon left the show. It's, considered the weakest season of Community. So sadly, that puppet episode of Community, although I want it to be great, is really not up to snuff. I kind of enjoy it because it's puppets. I mean, I kind of enjoy it, but it's substandard as far as Community goes because it was made during... I wish they had done the puppet episode while Dan Harmon was there. I bet the puppet episode would have been a lot better. You know what I do love? The puppet episode of Angel. the puppet episode of Angel called Smile Time. That is a great episode. If and none of you have seen Smile Time, season 5 of Angel, I think it's on Hulu. I think all of Angel is on Hulu. Go check out Smile Time. It is terrific. I actually have the Angel puppet from the episode. They made a replica. It's up in my bedroom. So I have the Angel puppet. Unfortunately, the Angel puppet isn't a puppet. You can't put your hand in it. It's like a doll, but it's a recreation of the Angel puppet. Oh, boy. Brandon says, I almost bought Piranha 2 today, but couldn't pull the trigger at $410. Oh, my God. I can't blame you. Jesse says, Fright Night 2 is on YouTube for free and in HD. Watched it the other day. Awesome picture quality. Lisa says, my friend lost a wallet at the beach and was returned to him from the water almost 20 years later with everything in it. Of course, everything was very whitewashed. Bradshaw with 99 cents. Thank you, Bradshaw. Where's Super Chat Hippo? Say thank you to Bradshaw. Condescending Crow, do you have something nice to say to Bradshaw? Thanks, Bradshaw. I won't say anything rude to you. You're a good dude. That's the nicest thing he said all night. Thank you. Thank you, Bradshaw. I appreciate that. And Lisa, that's one heck of a story. 20 years later. That is amazing. Lost it at the beach. Wow. Bohemian says, I bought Growing Pains Season 2 for $10 the other day. David Rembert is here. And David Rembert, thank you. Thank you very much. He sent me a code for Apollo 13 before the show, which we were getting ready to show my daughter anyway, but I didn't have Apollo 13. We were going to have to rent it. And then David was kind enough to send the code, so we don't have to rent it now. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. David says, talking about Joe Martinez, he finally hit 1K subs. That is awesome. I didn't know that. Congratulations to Joe and to Marie. That's good news. Connor McGregor says, have I visited stinkytuna.com? Well, Connor McGregor, that would be the site that Erin tipped me off to, that was tipped off to her by Joe Martinez. So yes, stinkytuna.com is the 6 degrees of separation site I was talking about that I learned about from Erin and she learned about from Joe. Punk Nerd says he's going thrifting on Thursday. That's awesome. Anthony's here. Hey, Joe, my daughter Nikki saw your closing credits for the first time a few days ago. Needless to say, it was a hit. Thank you. I'm happy to hear that. I know Jacob, J2H. I know his son was dancing to it once. He sent me a video. It's funny. Apparently, kids like our theme song. Aubrey says, about to watch Shutter Island. Any thoughts? I like Shutter Island. That's a good movie. That is a good movie. I think we lost Ryan, which is a shame because I really wanted to see if the wrench thing worked. I really wanted to see if that worked. Delicious. I've given up soda. I don't really drink soda that much, but during this COVID crisis, I kind of broke down and bought some soda, and I've been having a soda every now and then. And when you don't have soda for a long time, soda tastes especially delicious when you do drink it. When you do drink it, you're like, oh, that's what I was missing out on. So once this case of soda's gone, I have to be sure not to buy any more because it's going to be tempting now. But yeah, Aubrey, Shutter Island's a great movie. Lisa says it had his license from when he was 16 years old. Wow. And it was 20 years later, so he's 36 now. That's amazing, man. That is an amazing story. So did the guy give a story on how he found the wallet? Like, was he just digging on the beach and there it was? Or I'd love to hear the story of how it came to be. Where was I? Jim says Apollo 13 is the best, but it's long. James says, apparently Sponge on the Run is coming to CBS All Access. That is a smart move. That is a smart move. It's for the best because the virus, while not as prevalent, is still trending. That is a really good move for CBS All Access because CBS All Access needs original content. And I think it's going to be getting a lot more original content now that the Viacom-CBS merger is done. They're rebranding in July. I haven't heard what they're going to be called yet, but they're not going to be called CBS All Access anymore. They're rebranding because now they've got the full Paramount behind them. And I think CBS All Access is going to become a more in-demand service once this is all done, because the Star Trek and the Twilight Zone was good, but the floodgates are about to open with what they can offer due to everything Paramount and Viacom own. And the fact that a new Paramount movie is going to debut on CBS All Access says it all. It says it all. James says, so Crazy Joe, there's a film called The Amazing Bulk. What are your thoughts on it? I've never heard of it. I actually have no thoughts. I don't know about it. Connor says, did I ever see the director's cut of Daredevil or Green Lantern? I own them both. The director's cut of Daredevil is fantastic. It is fantastic. It's the version that should have been in the theaters. And I thought the version that was in theaters was pretty good. But the director's cut is excellent. It's one of the few times in the world, ever, that adding Coolio to something makes it better. But yeah, all Coolio's scenes were cut out of the theatrical cut. But there's some really good stuff that was added into that director's cut, like a scene where we I don't want to give it away. If you've never seen the director's cut of Daredevil with Ben Affleck, check it out. I really wish they'd put it up on Disney Plus. Because it should be up there. It should go up on Disney Plus. And Disney Plus just put their first ever Fox Marvel movie up on Disney Plus this week. Friday, Fantastic Four by Josh Trank was added to the Marvel section of Disney Plus. You know, when you go on Disney Plus and you have Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, Nat Geo. Well, now if you click on Marvel, right up there with all the MCU movies is Fantastic Four by Josh Trank. And it's the first time they've added a Fox movie, a Fox Marvel movie to the app. Which is surprising because you'd think they would have added one of the X-Men movies first, because the X-Men movies are much, much more popular films. But no, Fantastic Four was the first. But yeah, I'd say add that director's cut of Daredevil to Disney Plus. It really deserves more respect. Punk Nerd just hit 100 subs. Good job, Punk Nerd. Good to hear that. Jesse says, did I like any other Joel Schumacher movies like Flatliners, St. Elmo's Fire, The Client? Flatliners was okay. I don't like St. Elmo's Fire. Phone Booth I saw once. So I think the two movies of his I think are the best are Falling Down and The Lost Boys. Those are my two favorites. The Big Half says, Crazy Joe, I found seasons 1 through 6 of Voyager today for $5 total. Wow, that is a heck of a price. Bummer season 7 was missing, but still $5. That is quite a deal. Where'd you find them? Was it like a thrift store? Because $5 for every season. That's amazing. That's less than $1 a season. It's less than $1. That's crazy. Joey says, must be loving this hot weather. I'd love it more if I could get out, but there's still nowhere to go. So I'm kind of stuck here. Joey says, I hope SpongeBob will be in theaters too. I want to see it. I only get CBS All Access in the summer for Big Brother, but Big Brother was canceled this summer. I have a annual subscription to CBS All Access because I wanted to support them year round. I wanted to just show my support for Star Trek, because I always say you should pay for what you love, and I want to keep Star Trek coming. So I gave them my full year subscription just to throw my support and my weight behind them, because it's very important to me that I do that, because I'm excited. They've given us Star Trek Discovery, Star Trek Picard, and now we're going to be getting Star Trek Strange New World. So I'm excited. James says, no offense, but I highly doubt they'll add Daredevil to Disney Plus, maybe Hulu. I don't see why they couldn't add it to Disney Plus. It's not rated R. It's not rated R. It's a PG-13 film, so I think it would actually fit fine on Disney Plus. The X-Men movies I thought might go to Hulu. over Disney Plus, because some of the later X-Men movies have F-bombs in them. Especially Logan. Logan's rated R. Logan you couldn't put on Disney Plus. Logan's rated R. That would have to go to Hulu. But I thought like First Class, everything from First Class on has an F-bomb in it. So I thought, well, they'll all go to Hulu. But now I understand Hamilton, which is premiering on Disney Plus, has an F-bomb in it. Apparently there's 3 in the show. I've never seen Hamilton, so I didn't see the show. But apparently there's 3 of them in the show, and Lin-Manuel Miranda is saying he took 2 of them out, or 2 of them were censored for Disney Plus. So that means there's still 1 in there, and they're putting it up on Disney Plus. So if that's the case, then those X-Men movies like First Class and Days of Future Past could go up on Disney Plus if Disney Plus is being lenient about that kind of thing. Joey says Disney Plus took away their 7-day free trial. I honestly didn't even know they still had a 7-day free trial. I thought that was months ago. Lisa says, a letter said it was sticking out of the ground like a rock, and when the tide went out a little, they noticed the rock had stuff stuck in it. Police found his mom's number, which was his original address. That is a crazy story. Was this recent? How long ago did this happen, Lisa? This is a crazy story. Connor says, have you shown your kids Looney Tunes back in action? Oh, yes, they love it. They love Looney Tunes back in action. They've both seen it. Kira really enjoyed it. James says, I'm honestly not going to subscribe to these streaming services since I can go online and watch my stuff. However, I have an interest in Tubi TV. Tubi TV is awesome. I love Tubi TV. I've been watching a lot on Tubi TV. You know what I've been watching on Tubi TV? Degrassi: The Next Generation. I've been watching Degrassi: The Next Generation, which is a show I've never seen. But back in the day, I watched the original Degrassi Junior High and Degrassi High. And then I saw Tubi TV had the full series of The Next Generation. And I thought to myself, well, I don't want to watch The Next Generation because I don't remember the original that well. I remember I watched it, but I don't remember it that well. So I went on Amazon, found that the original series was dirt cheap. Dirt cheap on Amazon. So I bought it. And I watched every episode. I've seen every single episode. It's kind of funny. 44-year-old guy sitting here watching preteen melodrama from the 80s. But yeah, and it brought back memories because I did watch it as a kid. Then when I got done, I started watching The Next Generation, which is interesting because you get to see a lot of the same characters as adults. And some of them have their own kids now that are going to the school. And I find that I'm far more interested in the adults, what they're doing, than what the kids are doing. Like, I just can't connect with the next generation. So the main characters on the show I don't really care about, but I keep watching it just to see what the adult characters from the original are going to do when they show up. And they don't show up often enough, frankly. But I've been watching that on Tubi. Let's see, where were we? Joey says, if CBS All Access put all the old Nickelodeon shows and game shows, I would subscribe for the whole year. Oh man, if CBS All Access put up Out of Control with Dave Coulier and Marty Skiff, I would be very happy. Still a little bit in there. Lisa Source says around 5-6 years ago. He's 41 now. That is a crazy story. James says HBO Max has all the old Cartoon Network shows and the classic cartoons from the Time Warner library. Yes, and one of my problems with HBO Max is they don't have them all up there. They own all that content, but it's not all there. Jabberjaw, not there. Help It's the Hair Bear Bunch, not there. Where is this stuff? Where is the Roman Holidays? It's not up on HBO Max. I mean, Warner owns all this stuff. They have the access. They could put it up there if they didn't. And I'm like, why? Why didn't you put this up there? Where's Rubik the Amazing Cube? Where's Rubik? Where's the Mr. T cartoon? You own it. Put it up there. No, they couldn't be bothered. Drives me crazy. Bohemian says, I wonder if Once Upon a Deadpool will go on Disney Plus. I like Once Upon a Deadpool. I like Once Upon a Deadpool better than I like Deadpool 2. I actually thought the Once Upon cut was funnier. Punk Nerd says I should email Warner Archive for review titles. Well, maybe. I know some people review them. But yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. I got some stuff coming to me that I've been reviewing. You know what I got here? And big shout out, big thanks to one of my friends, one of my YouTube friends, because I wouldn't have known about this were it not for his channel, because he got it, did a review of it on his channel. And that is Mr. Serial at Midnight himself, Heath, alerted me to the Al Adamson collection. The Al Adamson collection, 32 movies, 14 discs. To anyone who doesn't know Al Adamson, he was a schlock movie director from the 60s and 70s, and he made some just great cheesy movies. Blood of Flesh, Five Bloody Graves, Hell's Bloody Devils, Naughty Stewardesses, Death Dimension, Female Bunch, Halfway to Hell, Dracula vs. Frankenstein, Blazing Stewardesses. He just made some ridiculous movies. He had blood in so many titles. Blood of Ghastly Horror, The Blood of Dracula's Castle, Horror of the Blood Monsters, Brain of Blood. He loved to put blood in his titles. But the movie on here that I think is the best, the best of them all, is the movie Hell's Bloody Devils. Because Hell's Bloody Devils was financed in part by a very famous commercial pitchman. And he has a cameo in the movie. And that is Colonel Harlan Sanders. Colonel Harlan Sanders is in Hell's Bloody Devils. There's a scene where two of the main characters are eating their lunch in KFC, and Colonel Sanders just walks up to the table and says, "Isn't that the tenderest, juiciest chicken you ever had?" or something. Then he walks away. It's so funny. So this is the Al Adamson Masterpiece Collection, and I would recommend it for Hell's Bloody Devils alone, but really this is all great. So let's see. Does anybody watch Pluto TV? Frank asks. I've watched it. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Anthony says, I don't know if you mentioned this already, but how psyched are you Netflix saved Cobra Kai? Well, I'm glad that it's going to have a third season. But, I mean, did they really save it? Like, I didn't think it was in any danger. Like, I thought a season 3 was a given no matter where it landed. I thought there was just going to be a season 3 no matter what. So I didn't know that it was like a save. But yeah, the first 2 seasons aired on YouTube Premium, which isn't a thing anymore really. So now season 3 is going to be on Netflix. That's cool. I can't wait. James says, ironic since Netflix screwed over Tuca and Birdie. I don't know who Tuca and Birdie are, but glad they're doing something right for once. Just says, Joe, do they have a lot of the catalog Warner Brothers movies on HBO Max? I mean, they have a lot, but they certainly don't have everything. They're not nearly as complete as Disney Plus was on day one. Now, Disney Plus on day one had some notable exceptions. They did. The Muppet Show. For God's sakes, The Muppet Show. But generally speaking, day one, Disney Plus was pretty good. HBO Max has a much more sparse catalog. And some of their stuff is going away almost immediately. Like Justice League and like Wonder Woman, they're like going away already. I mean, it's only been up for like a month and they're already losing those titles. Now, I understand pre-existing contracts. Obviously, Home Alone and Home Alone 2 were on Disney Plus day one. Excuse me. And Disney did say some titles are going to disappear because we have to honor pre-existing contracts, but they'll be back. And sure enough, right after Christmas, Home Alone 1 and 2 disappeared. So they were 2 of the titles that were affected by these pre-existing contracts that Disney had to honor. And oddly enough, Home Alone 2 is now on HBO Max. So apparently that's who had the contract, the pre-existing contract for Home Alone 2. HBO had it. So right now it's on HBO. Eventually that contract will be up and it'll go back to Disney Plus. But it just feels like Everything about HBO Max feels half-assed, quite frankly. And it's got such potential, so I don't understand why everything's so half-assed. Conor McGregor says, have I seen the uncut version of Batman Beyond Return of the Joker? I have. It's great. Punk Nerd says, Mill Creek upped the amount of subs to get stuff. I've noticed. Let's just say I've noticed. I'm well aware. I'm well aware. Joey says, I've never heard of Al Adamson. Should I? I feel like if he has a 30 movie collection, I should. Oh, man. Yeah. Al Adamson is one of the greats. One of the greats. He's just... Google him, man. Google him. Everything. There's a documentary about him on here. Blood and Flesh, The Real Life and Ghastly Death of Al Adamson. Al Adamson, just his death alone, how this guy, his life ended, is a fascinating story in and of itself. It was like the plot of one of his movies, quite frankly. But yeah, Al Adamson is one of the greats. Let's see. Lisa says, the beach he lost the wallet is called Horseneck Beach. There's a crazy riptide all the time. The beach hooks out, so most stuff that goes out on one side ends up coming up on the other. But does it always come up 20 years later? That's the question. Jim Duggan says, Netflix is much better for Cobra Kai. Anthony says, I heard YouTube canceled Cobra Kai, so I thought it was sort of up in the air. YouTube kind of canceled their whole service, like their YouTube Red, or they think it was YouTube Red originally, then they changed it. I don't know. They kind of were like, we're not going to do that anymore. So I think there was always question of where Cobra Kai Season 3 was going to end up. But Cobra Kai and the Karate Kid franchise is owned by Sony. And Sony had a hit on their hands. So I don't think there was ever a question that Sony was going to make a third season. I think the question was just always kind of like, where is it going to end up? But Netflix is a good home for it. I'm glad it's coming to Netflix. Let's see. Where are we? James says, say Crazy Joe. I know this is controversial, but thoughts on the Birth of a Nation? I've never seen it, but I don't plan to. Well, James, I've never seen Birth of a Nation either. I've seen clips of Birth of a Nation in film class. In college, I took a film history class, and we saw clips of Birth of a Nation, but I've never seen the full film. What are my thoughts on it? It's kind of hard to say. That's not easy to say because I haven't seen the movie, for one thing. It's obviously a very racist movie, but at the same time, it's very important to film history. So, I don't know, maybe it's one of these things I should actually sit and watch one of these days. But I've never seen it myself, so it's hard to say. Joe's here. He says they announced Home Alone coming out on 4K in September. Joe, I'm going to give you the wrench, man. I'm giving you the wrench. There we go. I need to see if this is working. Joe, say something. Let me know if I gave you the wrench right. It sounds dirty, doesn't it? I'm going to give you the wrench. Oh, you're getting the wrench, man. You're so getting the wrench. Joe says he loves the Al Adamson set. And Joey Baseball asks, am I drinking beer? So we got all the Joes. Joe, Martinez Joe, Joey Baseball, all the Joes. Yes, I am drinking beer. So Marie says, haha, Joe, I was wondering if you saw what was that, Marie? The Al Adamson set? Jesse says, is Sony ever going to launch a streaming service? Well, they own Crackle, but Crackle is terrible. And Joey Hockey Puck says, I'm here too. And Joey Hockey Puck has the wrench. I gave him the wrench because he was first in the room, and he's one of my Patreon members. So thank you, Joey. And I see the wrench did work. Joe Martinez, did it work for you? James says, "Say Joe, which is the better Addams Family or the Munsters?" Well, I love them both, but the Munsters is closest to my heart. Jessica's here. Welcome, Jessica. Mulling over the Funko Pop Cobra Kai, the Cobra Kai Funko Pops. Have you got the Colonel Harlan Sanders Funko Pop? That's the big question. So, everyone who got here late, you missed out on the puppets, man. There were puppets earlier on. Condescending Crow was here, and Condescending Crow was here for a reason. He's not copy protected, because I figured if this guy showed up, the Henson Company would come after me. Hello, how you doing? So I don't want a lawsuit from the Henson Company, so I went with Condescending Crow. Joey says, times are that tough. Crazy Joe is drinking beer. I always drink beer. I love Yingling. I'm a big fan of Yingling. In fact, I have a giant Yingling sign that was given to me by Rick. Down the movie, Rick. I don't have anywhere to put it, though. Lisa says, he's got a wrench. Look at that. Hey, Joe's got a wrench, too. There we go. I like Lisa says, he's got a wrench. Look at that. Just look at it. Did you ever hear Dana Carvey? See now I gotta be as clean, as PG as possible. Did you ever hear the Dana Carvey bit about Jimmy Stewart, where he's like, just look at it. Just look at it. I'm not gonna say anymore because it's not appropriate for family audiences. But if you've never heard it, it's quite funny. And that's what I'm thinking of when Lisa says, look at it. Just look at it. Frank says, are you a fan of the Blade films? What's your favorite? I do like the Blade films. And my opinion on the Blade films varies from most people. Most people do not share my opinion on the Blade movies. I think the worst Blade movie, surprisingly, for me, the worst Blade movie is Blade 2. And I say surprisingly because I really like Guillermo del Toro. I really like him. So I would expect that the one he did would probably be my favorite, but it's actually my least favorite. My favorite of the Blade movies, Blade Trinity. I loved Blade Trinity. Now I've heard people say they don't like it because Blade takes a back seat to Ryan Reynolds. I've heard people say, well, Ryan Reynolds stole the show and Blade didn't get enough to do, but I'm like, I don't see that as a problem. I mean, if we look at it, Blade himself really isn't the most interesting character. He's kind of stoic. He doesn't say that much. He's kind of like, the strong silent type. So yeah, of course the Ryan Reynolds character was going to be more dynamic and therefore a little bit more fun to watch. So yeah, Blade Trinity is my favorite of the three. Then the original is my second favorite, and Blade 2 is my least favorite of the three, which surprises the heck out of me because I'm such a fan of Guillermo del Toro that I would have thought that would be my favorite, but it's not. James says, say Joe, I know you're a fan of the film Birds of Prey, but did you know that Birds of Prey had a series in the 2000s? Yes, I watched it for the first several weeks, and then I couldn't get into it. It actually bore more resemblance to the X-Men than Birds of Prey because it leaned into it was kind of sort of a spin-off of Smallville. They never crossed over with Smallville. They never had a Smallville crossover, but it kind of premiered the year after Smallville, and I think we were supposed to believe it was set in the same shared universe as Smallville, but they never did an actual crossover. And it leaned on the kryptonite freaks. Like Smallville introduced the kryptonite mutants. Everyone had a superpower from kryptonite exposure. And Birds of Prey really leaned heavily into that, where everybody kind of had a superpower. And I think it was supposed to be set in the future. Like Smallville was in one time period and Birds of Prey was years later. And suddenly everybody had a power from the kryptonite rocks. And I just felt like, well, this is like more like an X-Men type thing than a Batman type thing. I had trouble with the Birds of Prey series, but I did watch it at the time it aired. In fact, I saw the original pilot because I worked for TV Guide at the time. And I saw the original pilot to Birds of Prey. They recast Harley Quinn halfway through the series. Or no, the pilot had I can't remember her name. I cannot remember the name of the actress who played Harley Quinn in the pilot episode, but she couldn't play the role in the subsequent episodes. So they went back and they recast Harley and they reshot all her scenes in the pilot episode. So it was Mia Sara from Ferris Bueller's Day Off became Harley Quinn. And they retroactively went and put her in the pilot and removed the other actress whose name is escaping me. So yeah, I did watch Birds of Prey. Jessica says the Addams Family from 2019 is great. I agree. I really like that movie. Lisa says, all these silly creatures out here. Stay on the bar, Uncle Traveling Matt. I loved, we were just watching an episode of Fraggle Rock the other day with Kira, and it was the one where Traveling Matt rode a roller coaster for the first time. Do you remember that? Lisa, do you remember that episode of Fraggle Rock where Uncle Traveling Matt rode the roller coaster? It's amazing because he's like talking to Gobo in the postcard, and he's like, so I got on this roller coaster, and they show him on the roller coaster, and it's a 2-seat roller coaster, and the guy sitting next to him is Dave Goelz, and Dave Goelz' hand is obviously up in Traveling Matt, so they had a fake arm going around Traveling Matt, so it looked like Dave Goelz, the Dave Goelz character guy, had his arm around Traveling Matt, but it was an obviously fake arm, and Dave Goelz was trying, it was like this, trying not to look at Traveling Matt, and Traveling Matt's like freaking out, going like, and Dave Goelz is just like smiling. It was hilarious watching it. Jesse says, Joe, did I like the Spawn movie? I didn't. I did not. I saw it in the theater. I did not care for that movie. Lisa says, I'll send you a just look at it clip later. It's ridiculous. Lisa, is it the clip with Dana Carvey? Is that the just look at it clip? Frank says, Dana Carvey is great. I love it when he's on Conan O'Brien. Joey says, are they launching fireworks outside your house? Not outside my house, no. James says, thoughts on Gotham, the Batman series from Fox. I always called it Batman without Batman. I wasn't a fan of the show. I didn't like it. I called it Batman without Batman. David says to Joey, always late at night. What, firing fireworks? Are they firing fireworks at your house, Joey? Punk Nerd says, have I heard the new Weezer songs? I haven't. Did they put out a new album? I wasn't aware. I'll have to get it. I like Weezer. Connor says, did I ever play the Back to the Future game? It acted as a Back to the Future 4. I had a Back to the Future game for like PlayStation 3, I think. Lisa says, oh my God, yeah, poor Dave on the roller coaster. He hated them, and he rode it so much he ended up liking roller coasters afterwards. James says, thoughts on the NBC show Heroes? I was a big fan of Heroes. I loved that show. And I think it's a shame what happened to that show, because season 3 of Heroes was terrible. Season 3 was terrible. And I think the reason it was terrible was because of the writer's strike. Because season 1 and 2 were really good, but season 2 had to end very abruptly because the writers went on strike. So the storylines on season 2 didn't go where they were supposed to go because they had this abrupt end due to the writer's strike. So they really didn't finish season 2. So when season 3 came back, the show was kind of all out of whack from the writer's strike, and season 3 sucked. It was terrible, and I think fans left the show in droves. They were like, oh, we're done with this crap. But then season 4 came along. Season 4 was great. Season 4 of Heroes was terrific, and nobody was watching. Everybody bailed during season 3, and I kept hearing people say, well, Heroes sucks now, and I'm like, are you watching? They're like, no, I gave up. And I'm like, that's the problem. It doesn't suck now. It's really good. But it's too late. You already left. And that's the thing. I think season 3 chased away the audience in droves. and very few came back for season 4. And season 4, the writing was back on point again, and the show was great again, but it was too late. Eric Perry says the Dick Lowry story. Oh, wow. Okay. I'm glad you said it because I forgot about the Dick Lowry story. Hang on. Let me prepare for the Dick Lowry story. One night in the early 2000s, it was probably around 03, somewhere around there, maybe 04. A friend of mine said to me, I want you to come over. We're having a cheesy movie night. And I want you to bring a movie called... He knew I had... He asked me what I had. He said, what do you have that's kind of cheesy? And I sort of went over what I had at the time that I thought might be cheesy enough. And he settled on The Toughest Man in the World, starring Mr. T. This is a made-for-TV movie from 1980. Oh, there's no date on this. It says 1995, but that was the date of the DVD came out, not the date of the movie. Early 80s, somewhere around between 83 and 85. Toughest Man in the World. Bruce Brubaker is one of life's contradictions. An illiterate ex-Marine, Vietnam veteran, and bouncer in a Chicago nightclub. Bruce is also the sole force behind a center for troubled kids. It is the threat of closure of the center due to lack of funds that convinces Bruce to enter the Toughest Man in the World competition. The current holder of the title, however, who was backed by a local crime syndicate, has no plans to relinquish his crown. The current holder of the title is Tanker Weems, by the way. Anyway, this movie is great. It stars Mr. T, and it stars somebody that everybody who watches these live streams should know by now. Co-starring with Mr. T is this guy, John P. Navin Jr. John P. Navin Jr. and Mr. T, toughest man in the world. So we watched this movie, and it's directed by Dick Lowry. So it comes up directed by Dick Lowry, and my friend says, Dick Lowry, remember that name. He is the man who caused us pain tonight. He did not enjoy the movie. But he made a joke about Dick Lowry. Remember that name. He caused us pain tonight. So then it was time to watch the second movie of the evening. I had not chosen the second movie of the evening. Someone else had. And they pulled out the movie Project Alf. Project Alf from 1996. The Alf resolution movie that resolved the cliffhanger ending of the TV series. So we put on Project Alf. The opening credits roll. Directed by Dick Lowry. So by pure chance, by pure coincidence, that night, we happened to pick two movies. Two that were directed by Dick Lowry. Not the greatest story in the world, I know. It's not the best story you'll ever hear. But I thought that was kind of funny, that just by pure chance, we happened to pick two movies, both directed by Dick Lowry that night, unaware that we were doing it. That story was probably anticlimactic. I'm sorry. It probably wasn't worth the wait of a week. I'm sorry. But The Toughest Man in the World, starring Mr. T and John P. Navin Jr. This is a movie that is close to my heart for probably obvious reasons. It's got Mr. T in it, and it's got John P. Navin Jr. John P. Navin Jr., if you were watching, come on here. We'll treat you with respect. So let's do a Skype call. Come on, man. Send me an email, John. MegaPodTastic@gmail.com. Just send me an email. MegaPodTastic@gmail.com. We want to have you on here, John. We'll treat you with respect. If anyone knows John P. Navin Jr., share this video with them. Excuse me. Ooh. All right. So where was I? Where was I? Bohemian says they're firing fireworks off since I think May, where I live. James says, ironic since Community Season 4 was bad, but people still watched. Jesse says, have I seen the 90s Jerry O'Connell show, My Secret Identity? Is this more than my imagination? Is this more than a dream come true? Without the slightest bit of hesitation, I knew what I was meant to do. You'll never guess my secret identity. He's on the inside hiding out. You never know what you'll see. You'll unlock a mystery. Sometimes this double life gets out of hand, but it's all in a day's work for Ultraman. No, I've never heard of it. What is that? I'm not at all familiar with this show. Please tell me more. I'm curious. Pucknerd says the new Weezer album is called Van Weezer. Is out in 2021. 2 singles out now.
Stop singing! You're terrible! He's terrible. Isn't he terrible? Do you guys want to hear this crap?
You're rude.
I know! I'm condescending crow!
Yeah, you're rude. Look at those eyes. Doesn't he just look condescending? Look at him. He just looks condescending.
Your eyes don't look any better, jerk!
Rude, man. Rude crow. James Borland says, Mr. T, he doesn't fool around. He pities the fool. Lisa says, oh yeah, your GPS voice is Mr. T. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. From the character meet and greet the other day, you got to hear my GPS voice, didn't you? Eric says, LOL, love it. Great story, man. Haven't seen the Mr. T film. I'm going to have to check that one out. Gloop Trekker's here. That's the show with Ultraman, but not the one that we know. Yeah, and I think in season 2, they stopped calling him Ultraman. I guess people wrote in and were like, you gotta stop calling this guy Ultraman. There's already an Ultraman. And in fact, if I remember correctly, they changed the lyrics to the theme song in season 2 to take out the Ultraman reference. Lisa says, good crow eye focus. Thank you. Joe says, where did I get my puppets? One place or different places? This one I got at a place called World Market. World Market. It's sort of like a Pier 1 Imports type place. And sometimes they have puppets. And of all the puppets I got there, I got a few puppets there. This is my favorite. But you know what? It's because of the eyes. Look at the eyes. I just looked at him. I just looked at this puppet and I knew his personality. Like I knew this puppet was rude because of the eyes. But I've got a couple other puppets there that I don't really have a feel for them. Like I don't know who they are. This guy, I knew who he was as soon as I looked at him.
Yeah. What's wrong with my eyes? Something wrong with your eyes, jerk.
I don't know. Pucknerd says, did I hear about CS's new van? Yes, he texted us pictures of it yesterday. We were looking at it yesterday. Lisa says, can't wait for Toily to arrive in August. I know, that's exciting. My friend Grandpa Choco, who he's a puppeteer and he's a great podcaster. If you're not familiar with Grandpa Choco, look up Saturday Morning Media here on YouTube. He's great. He's a puppeteer. Worked on things like Mystery Science Theater 3000. He's worked with the Henson Company, and all around good guy. And he has a character he does here on YouTube called Toily Paper. Toily Tea Paper. And Toily Tea Paper is a talking roll of toilet paper, and Toily's great. You can find, he's got his own channel. Look up Toily Tea Paper right here on YouTube. And Grant did a campaign. He needed to get 500 pre-orders to make Toily Tea Paper puppets. And he did it. So we're getting our own Toily Tea Paper puppets in August. It's very exciting. Brandon brings up a sore point. Brandon is bringing up a very sore point. Did you see the Mr. T figure? He has his WrestleMania attire. Oh, Brandon, I am so bitter about this. I did see the figure. and the pre-order sold out like that online. It's now completely sold out. I can't get one, and it was $30. The scalpers are already charging about $100, $110, somewhere in that region on eBay. So I'm really bitter about that. All right, look, guys, I got to get going. I'm actually late. I'm 10 minutes late. I got to go record the podcast with Jacob. We went a little too long tonight, so I got to wrap this up. And thanks for being here. I appreciate it. And do you got anything you want to say to them, Condescending Crow?
Yeah! Keep wearing those pajamas! And wash them sometimes. Take them off sometimes and wash them. Don't just keep wearing them. Dirty. You're dirty birds. They call me a dirty bird. You're a dirty bird if you're wearing your pajamas that much. But keep wearing them for now. Come back next week.
All right, guys. Keep wearing those pajamas. Thanks for being here. See you next week.